Howdy, Buffalo Bart here, and welcome. I'm getting rid of my ugly ass house in my window, so we're gonna just force delete. Go away. We don't want you anymore. We're gonna just roll right on here with where we left off from the last video. And if you didn't watch the first video, definitely watch it. 100%. If you missed the second video of these two series, yeah, who cares? You can go back and watch it if you want to. It's covering making your own custom static meshes from BSP geometries. And this one, we're actually going to take from the starter content the floor sections, wall sections, and so forth, and we're going to make our own town, but we're going to make our houses first, and we're going to combine static meshes together to create a template house that we can now drag and drop into our maps whenever we want to. And we'll make, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different style houses so we have a little bit of variety. Unlike most American subdivisions, you get 3 houses and choice of 3 colors. So way more our modern neighborhoods are made now. So we can do something similar to that. We can go ahead and create our first house and then expand from there as time permits. So let's jump right in. The starter content, if you don't already have starter content in your project, you can click on Add New, Add Feature Content Pack, Starter Content, and then Add to Project. And it will add it to your existing project. It's going to give you architecture, audio, which it's so important to have good audio, blueprints for some of the lighting and effects and stuff already, HDRI, which is part of your reflection stuff, some sample maps we're not worried about, materials we are, and particles, which are awesome, props, so we can have chairs and sofa and glass and other stuff here. We have some basic shapes, which are fun to play around with if you need to. About the only shapes that I really use are BSP geometries and the architects. I might use a cube or a sphere, but these can come in handy as needed, and the textures related to the materials. So let's make our first house. I'm going to drag in a floor piece, and I'm going to set its coordinates to 0, 0, and 0. And its pivot point is right here. So that's going to be handy. So I'm going to grab this, Control C, Control V, grab my rotate, transform, and rotate it 90 degrees. Now we have 2 floor sections. I'm going to Control left click on the first one. Now we have both selected. Control C, Control V, and I'll rotate it again. And there we go. We have 4 sections combined together. So each one of these is 400 by 400. As you can see, we have nothing on our floor here, so we can see that's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's perfect. So again, I can grab these 2, because if we look at it, our floor, not really that big of a footprint for a house. So we want to make our house to be kind of small. We want it 5 tiles wide by 3 tiles deep. So with that, we can actually go ahead and get ourselves in position, grab all 4 of our tiles, Control C, Control V, go to our movement, and let's just move it this way. You know what? I don't want to do it that way. I just want to grab this tile and this tile, Control C, this one and this one, Control C and Control V. Now, I don't want to do that either. Let's do that. So we still have our original 4. So let's just grab, we want to add so that we have 5 tiles total. So we just want to grab this guy, Control C, Control V, drag him over. And again, I don't know what. Let's grab this one. Control C, Control V, and let's go ahead and drag it over. And while you still have them selected, you can kind of zoom in a little bit. I still have my snapping set to 5. You can leave it at 10 if you want, but I'm going to leave mine at 5 so we can close the gap together. Then I'm Control V one more time. Drag it over this way, line them up, and poof. That's 4 wide. We want one more Well, let's go ahead and Control V one more time, and we can drag it over here. So now we've got it our 5 tiles long. Now let's grab this tile, Control left click on these right here. So we have all 5 of these. Control C, Control V, bang. Now we can move our new versions. Now we have our 5x5. This is our base for our floor. So if we go in here and hit play, this is going to be the footprint of our first small house. Good enough. So now let's go ahead and make our door right here in the front. Grab 400 by 400 door. Let's go ahead and rotate it. And let's get it in position. I have not compiled lighting yet, so I can see the visible gaps there. So I can line these up that way. And we're going to line it up so the outside edge meets up with the outside edge. And there we go. That's going to put us at negative 390 on our front to back. That's lovely. We can remember that. That's easy enough. And we want a window section. So we want the 400 by 400 with the window. And again, we're going to have to rotate it. Then we'll grab our transform this way and move it to our 390 and go ahead and line it up with this. And I'll Control C, Control V, and copy and paste so I can put another one in here and line it up with this edge. And for some reason it decided to go a little bit lower. So let's check that one. It was too low as well. So let's check that one and see. That one looks like it's right. 0, 0, 0. So I'm going to grab both of these two guys, or two windows, Control C, Control V, and now I can drag it over here and put windows on this side of the house. Close up our gap, look at our corner, looks lovely. And while we're doing, let's grab this one and this one, so we now have 4. Let's grab all of them so we can have a back door on there as well. Control C, Control V, and we just want to line it up. Hell, that's perfect. So now we've got that side. We can go ahead and let's grab some more of our wall windows. Now we want to line it up with going this way. It's going to overlap into the corner there, and that's fine because once we actually combine them all together and do lighting and everything else, we're not going to see that weirdness there. So we can Control C, Control V. Again, we want to line it up with this line right there. And then we can Control V again, grab another one. And again, we just want to line it up so it closes the gap there and lines up with that corner. Bang, bang. Grab all 3, Control C, Control V, and we got our walls. Dang, almost got it perfect. So that's the outer shell for our house, already done. And it's pretty good interior size for, you know, a normal small house. You can make a big huge mansion, a hotel, whatever you want. But we're just going to make a small house so we can duplicate this. And here's the thing, if we plan on keeping it a one-story building, we can go ahead and start attaching our roof line, our ceiling, things like that. So if we want to, we can come back here, grab all of our floor sections, Control C and Control V, and we can have a flat roof, or we can actually make a roof. We can actually extend these up and rescale them and actually make a peaked roof or whatever else. But for prototyping a city, getting the feel for what we're doing, this is going to be good enough. And if we hit play now, look, we have a completed house. This would be a good time if you want to put in some interior walls. Let's go ahead and put a 400 by 400 wall here. And unfortunately, we've lost our interior lines. But if we look close enough, you can still see the gray static lines in here. Plus, you can use your manual to line it up. So that's 350, splits it on this line. So let's actually take a look at it. When we walk in our front door, does that seem logical for the hallway, or do we need to make it a little bit wider? I think I'm going to make it a little bit wider. Let's carry this over to 400. Then we want this to match up to not the wall, but I'm actually going to drag it over here so that it just sticks through the wall, and then I can bring it back again. So we know that we have it lined up in here based off where it should go. And we can Control C, Control V, paste another one in, and do the same thing. So we know that it should be at 400 as well. That's perfect. So now when we grab a door frame, we know that we can just drag this to 400 this way. And when we line it up against this wall will be good. So I'm going to grab, make sure I've got all of those selected. Control C, Control V. Move it to 400, and we should be symmetrical in the interior of our house. And I'm watching my transform down here to make sure that I'm right. So now we have a little cookie cutter house with basic interior, and that's wrong, because we had the house offset. So it won't be a 400, it will actually be 0. Because we're offset by 400, yeah. So there, we got the basics of a generic house. Now, we can choose to leave it the way it is, and if we're going to prototype our city and let it ride. However, I'm going to go ahead and dress it up a little bit. You see, all these pieces parts are not anywhere yet, because we're going to combine them here shortly. We want a door frame. We want window frames. We want glass. We want everything in here to be a complete house. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my props, grab a door frame, and I know that this door frame is not going to fit. Because why should it, right? But we see that we have a center point right here that's going to be in between that, so that's good. So we're going to have to scale this out. Just move it one time, and there you go. Now your door frame should be good to go. And I'm going to go to my movement transform, Control C, Control V, and let's move one to the other door. We want it to just stick through the wall, so it will just stick through the wall on both sides. Okay, there's our door frames. And to keep this nice and easy, we're going to do our window frames next. And let's grab it, throw it in here, line it up so it just fits perfectly. And since we're good to go on that, let's look to make sure it's just sticking through the wall on the inside and just sticking through on there. See, we're at 390 and 600. So Control C, Control V. The next one should be at 400 or no, 200. Then I'm going to grab this guy. So I got both of those. So Control C, Control V. And now I can drag those in place, and whenever I line up one, the other should be lined up. And then we'll go back in here and grab this one as well. And this guy, Control C, Control V. So you can see this moves pretty quickly whenever you're slapping this all together. And again, you just want it to just lightly go through the wall, or be just lightly sticking out on one side. Look on the inside and you're good to go. So now we can grab this guy and this guy. Control C, Control V. Let's rotate it 90 degrees. Again, even though these are going to look relatively okay, you can put as much detail as you want into these houses, or as little detail as you want in these houses, so that you can actually create your cookie cutter houses. I would probably make about 3-4 different styles. That way you've got a little bit of variation to it, and if you spend enough time creating these houses, you can actually make them good enough to where they're production quality. But I feel these are great for prototyping. I honestly use Cinti Studio assets because I have complete buildings, interiors, furniture, all that stuff that I need, characters, and they all match together in style and theme. So let's quickly save all. And let's go take a look at our house. We didn't put glass in. I'm not going to put glass in for 2 reasons. Oh, we need door frames in here. And that's just simply because if I want to, I can create my own destructible mesh off of these if I choose that option. And you have to install a plug-in to get it to work. So to rotate that, going to get it in place, and that actually, if I'm not mistaken, should be on 200 to be centered up on the door. And we know we need to scale it out once, and that should have us some golden. Does that look right? Yep, good enough. Control C, Control V, and bang. Put this one at 400 and it should be perfect. Yep, lovely. I'm not going to put doors in. I'm not going to put glass in. So again, you can make those destructible meshes so you can blow them apart and get in or what have you. So assuming that we're happy with our house, okay, we've got this beautiful cookie cutter house that we want to make this into a single static mesh so we can now place it anywhere we want in our map. I'm going to left click here. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of them, and I'm going to left click here. So I have everything selected at the same time. And what we can do here is, since we don't have the same option we did with the BSP geometries, but now we can just right click anywhere inside here, convert actors to static mesh. Go back to my asset folder, my mesh folder, and we're going to call this house underscore 01. And okay, it doesn't automatically steal all this and turn it into a new house, which is fine. I don't want it to. Didn't want it to with the BSPs, but I didn't have much choice. So I'm going to create a new folder, house 1 stuff. Let me click here, scroll down to the bottom, have all this selected, and I'm going to right click on them, come down to move to house 1 stuff. And now I can hide all of this stuff into one folder, and I can leave it there, or I can move it somewhere else. And if I want to use this as a starting point for my other house, I can do that. Let's actually leave it where it is. But now I'm going to go to my mesh folder of my meshes, and there's our house. So we're going to again open up. See, all of those little pieces parts now have their own material, and it kind of sucks, but you're going to have every tile has its own material, And that's good or bad. You can change it whenever you want to, and it's just par for the course when you're using this many static meshes combined. But we definitely wanted to come down here to this again, general settings, change it to 64, tab 1, 2, 3, 4, lighten up. As long as it's not 0, you're okay. You can hit save. Now if you look at your collision, you have none. And again, for prototyping, we're just going to go ahead and scroll down a little bit more and use complex collision as simple. Again, not the best way to do it. The best way to do it, if you were going to do this for production level, export this as an FBX, go into Blender, create your own actual collision box for it, so that you will actually have a collision that's appropriate for it. For our purposes, for now, for a prototype situation, let's click off all that, and now we can actually drag this into our map, and we now have a prefabbed house. See, it's sticking to the ground just a hair, so you can actually adjust the pivot point if you want, or just pick it up. So that's our original meshes, and this is our new house. One big static mesh that we can drop anywhere. We can drop as many of them as we want in here. We can grab it. We can Control C, Control V, make a second version of it. And there we go. Let's make sure we have them lined up. Let's line them up on a certain axis. So if we want, we can lay down our streets. And here's a little simple rule of thumb. Now earlier I showed on the BSP geometry one of how to make a player peg. But something to remember when you're setting up hallways and stuff is if you want a comfortable gap between in a hallway, or for a player to walk through, a 300 wide gap is usually about the best to work with. It seems comfortable enough. So instead of it being right here, yes, it'll bug me if it's off by 5. So if you want a good gap between your building, since we haven't put a material on our ground, we can actually move this. That's 200, and now that's 300. So now that should be a relatively comfortable gap between your buildings. So as you're running through, it seems kind of normalish, and you can do that. You've got collisions on your walls now. You've got interiors. So if you're setting up a shooting village and you just want static houses you can throw in there. And again, if you want to do your windows, I'll do another video later on destructible meshes for making windows that you can shoot that will break, that will fall out. But this is a great way to build your houses. You could do this like, well, I like this house, but I don't want all of my houses to have a back door like that. Or maybe I want my back door over here or here. Because we didn't get rid of our original mesh, we can now go back over to it and make changes to it. This guy's good. We're solid. We can go and make a map somewhere, and we're all good to go. This being my construction map, I just want to leave just that on that construction map. So now if I want to come back in later and say, well, I want this to be a 2-story building, so I want to add some stairs in, and I want a second floor up here. I want to change the style of roof. I want to add other things to it. Your construction map stays your construction map. And when you're packaging your game up for playing, you're not going to package your construction map or your extra maps. This just stays only for you to have a place to come back in and make your buildings. So now we've saved our map. I'm not even going to worry about building lighting on this. It doesn't matter. And let's go to new and new level. And we're going to just call this our level 1. Again, I don't like that, so I'll get rid of that, and I'll get rid of that, and let's go ahead and make a terrain. That's 1 by 1. Let's make it 2 by 2. Boop, there's our terrain. I'm going to go back to this mode. I'm going to select actually this, make sure that I put it at 0, and go to our world settings and third person game mode. Now we have terrain we can run around in. I can build lighting, that's fine. But I'm actually going to go ahead and save now. And we're going to call this level 01. And now I'm going to go ahead and hit build, let it do its thing, and then I can start dropping my buildings in here and creating my basic town. Coffee. Good stuff. Alright, so this is our map. Another little thing I like to do as well is let's go ahead and grab one, and we just dropped it on top of our player. I'm going to leave 000 location as my starting point, but how do we stay consistent on placing our buildings in here? Let's go to my details panel. I just placed that down. I put it at 000, and then let's actually change it over here. That's our player. Our player is in the way, so let's actually move our player. Now we'll leave him at 000, but let's put our house in at -1000. So how do we get a good idea of how wide we need to make our streets? I'll have to go back in here again and change the pivot point on this house, but it's going to move it up by 5, so it's like so. Because we put it down here at 0, you can see it's sticking up just a little bit, so I'm going to raise it up by 5. But how do we get our gap for our houses to have a proper street between? So I Control C and Control V to paste another one in. I move this at 1000. Oh, quit being finicky. 1000. That may be okay gap in between, but to me that's just not wide enough. I think 1000 is good enough for a street, but not for the sidewalk and separations between houses. So what I like to do is I need to come in here. I don't need to, but I'm going to come in here and grab a BSP geometry box. I'm going to drop it in here at 0, 0, and 50. I'm going to change the Z height to 100. I'm going to change the X to 1000 and 100 and the Y. So what I've created, that's the width of a street that I think a street should be, is 1000 wide. And if you look, it's not exactly going to be perfect here. If I'm at 0 on this way, and I look at my houses here, if I put that at 1000 and that at -1000, they may be symmetrical between each other by their main point, but that's not going to be good enough for me. I want the wall to be exactly at 1000, so I can grab my BSP geometry and just drag it in here in between the two houses. And size it up. So it should just barely touch it. So now I grab this house and I want it to just barely touch it as well. And that should be good for the width of my street. So you line it up nice and perfect. And you want them to be on the same axis. So I'm going to grab this guy right here. Make sure it's on the line. So now I'm going to line up this one. So the corner of the house is equal with the edge of this guy. So take your time, get it as close as possible. If you're off by a millimeter, I don't think many people are going to notice, but you don't want a drastic change. So, yeah, let's move this house over. So this actually becomes your divider for measuring the width of your street, and you can do the same thing for alleyways. So anytime you want to check that, you can just grab your BSP geometry, and you could be even cool and grab it here, Control C, Control V, make another one, rotate it 90 degrees so you have one for each direction. So now, if you want to make sure that you're right on your next house over, so you have a four-way intersection right here. Now you just line it up this way and line it up to where this touches this house. You know that these two are lined up perfectly this way. So now I'm going to grab both of these houses and Control left click, Control C, Control V. Now I can line it up with that other one over there, and I've got a perfect gap in between my two buildings. So if I was trying to make a road intersection right here, then I know that I've got my gaps perfectly set up, and you can take these and just move them wherever you want to get them out of the way until you're going to need them again, and then just go from there. So now you've got a perfect gap this way to this way for your road to go through, and you got the exact same distance from here to here. And if you wanted to then just say, okay, I want a set of houses going this way, grab both of these, Control C, Control V, and I'm just going to have a normal gap between, so that's going to be 300 between them. And that's that. Do the same thing here. And again, the more of these different style houses you build, the better overall your town's going to feel. But again, for prototyping a combat arena that's going to be an urban area where you want it to be city streets and whatnot, this is going to be good, because now you've got a good gap in between, kind of realistic street level. You can build your sidewalks as BSPs, or you can build them however you want. Lay them in grass sections. You can create your own static meshes. Between the combination of doing these or BSP geometries, you can create your houses, make some variations. And again, if you want to make different style houses, go back to your construction map and rearrange what you've got into a new house. You want all one-story buildings, no problem. You can make a two-story building, there you go. You can make an apartment complex, so you can build the first floor, and wherever you build your stairwell, now whenever you copy and paste and bring your second floor up, you just delete your entry and exit doors, and then you can replace it with windows or solid walls. And if you built a set of stairs going up from the first floor, they're just going to keep lining up and keep going up. So now we have our level 1 that we've populated with a bunch of these similar style houses. And you could, make your terrain as big as you want, add as many houses as you want, do whatever you want. It's your city. Like I said, if you want tighter gaps where players can't get between houses, that's fine. If you want them to get between but you want it tight, make it 200. Normal, make it around 300. Now you've got a whole city street right here. You've got a four-way intersection. You can put more houses this way and so forth. So I'm actually going to save, and then I'm going to do a lighting build so it's happy with all my 10 items it needs lighting build. And you can quickly prototype out a town for doing combat in the city, a combat environment, or you just want to make a cool town or whatever else. This is a great way to prototype the layout of the way you want your town. As you can see, once you do the lighting, sometimes it looks a little awkward, but again, I wouldn't be using these for production level anyway. I mean, you could fix some of that by the general settings in the static mesh, and that'll fix some of that, but it's not perfect, but it gets the job done for prototyping. I would also use BSP geometries to create my houses this way instead of these, but for a rapid prototype, you can see in 35 minutes of doing this video so far, I've created a little simple town with 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 buildings. So I can hit save all. I can quickly go back into my other map, which was my construction map, and I have the original house. So since I already have these as my floor pieces, I can actually sink them down if I want, so that they're not sitting directly on top. I'm just using Control left click to select each of these boxes. However, the thing about it is you're going to see that they're sticking through. And it's going to have a weird effect to it. And if you just leave it the way it is, you're going to see a parting line between your stories. It's a price you got to pay for doing rapid prototyping, I guess. So let's actually amend our house a little bit and say I wanted to get rid of this wall, put a stairwell maybe. This is where I would actually probably go with the BSP geometries, because if you look in your architecture, there's no stairs. You look at your shapes, no stairs. You look in your third person meshes, there is a set of stairs, but they won't get you there. They're not tall enough. And okay, well maybe I can use 2 of them and then bring another one over here and just raise it up, and then okay, that'll get you close, but you're gonna have to hide that because that looks ugly. What I would do is go ahead and delete that guy. And here's where the thing is, you can't combine BSP geometry meshes and static meshes together in order for them to save this way. So you're going to have to convert your stairs once you make them into a static mesh and bring them back in and put them in that way. But we want to close off this gap right here, and let's make a set of stairs going up. Now you see you're going to have a gap here, so if you actually have that missing and these floor pieces right here aren't perfect, then holy crap, it's going to cause a problem because you're missing that. Worst case scenario, you can grab a basic cube, drag it in here, and size it to the same height. Just bring it down. So you make sure you've got it the same height as that guy. And let's change the height to 0.2, and that's correct that way. And let's shrink it down this way so that we can match the wall that way. So once we get close, we'll probably want to do it manually, because unless we turn off snapping and try to get it perfectly close, it's not going to get there. So let's change it to 0.2. So that's correct that way. We'll come right here. We'll try to split up the difference. And let's go ahead and stretch it this way. Just try to line it up, get it to where it looks perfectly centered between the two. Like so. And since we want to match the materials, click on Materials, Basic Floor, and then right there. And now it matches up. So now also we can come in here, once we lay our stairs in, we can make a copy of this and use it to fill up the gap between the floors. So let's grab a BSP stair, geometry, linear stairs, and we plopped it down and it took that material. Let's actually put it down as oak and drag in linear stairs, and now we have wooden stairs. Now, it also isn't going to have the right number of stairs. But before we turn this into a static mesh, we're going to make it into a floating stair. And let's actually go ahead and increase the number of stairs. And if we try to move it, we're not going to have enough room. And so we really need one more stair to make up that gap. So let's try 21 stairs will get us there, but I'm going to line it up so it looks good. Make sure it's not sticking through that wall. We want it to, yeah, that looks good. And let's line it up against the wall this way. So that's going to be okay, but we have to look at it when we go in here. Yeah, that'll be good enough. So let's make that into a floating stair. This is a lot easier than you would think. So I'm going to grab my linear stair brush. I'm going to Control-C, Control-V. And with this new one, I'm going to change it to subtractive. And I'm going to move it over a little bit so that these lines here match up with the stair next above it. So you can see it goes up here, up here, up here, up here. And since we have the wood selected, it's going to apply the wood there. So now we have a set of floating stairs. And if we come in here and hit play and take a look at our stairs, we walk in, we can walk under them. Yay. And there was much rejoicing. So if we want to match up and fill up this hole right here, this piece that we created already, let's Control-C and Control-V, and we just need to move it over and scale it up. And we just want to line it up and get it nice and pretty. Let's go that way, but we need to make it just a hair wider. So our width, 1.75 is not enough, so let's try 1.8. That looks good. So now if we hit play, walk in, we don't hit our head. That's lovely. So I want to convert these stairs now, since we know that these work for what we need. I'm going to grab both of them combined, and I'm going to go ahead and right click. I'm sorry, can't do that. Since these are BSP geometries, we go to here, create static mesh, go to our assets folder, meshes, stairs _ 01, and then create static mesh. And I'm going to leave that one in place because we know it's where we need it, and it's already a static mesh, but I'm going to go into my static mesh, and again, if we try to do if we look at our collisions, we don't have any. And if we do we're not going to be able to climb that. So collisions, remove, and if we try any of these other collisions, they're just not going to give us what we need. Again, the best way to do this is to export it, create your own custom one. There is an alternative that I didn't cover before, and I will show you basically how you can do it, but you can't combine it with this. So you'd have to copy and paste it everywhere you wanted to go, but that would be to put a blocking volume in. So I'm going to change this to 64, tab, 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 and 1. And the poor way to do this is use complex. It works. Again, we're prototyping, and the best way to do this is actually to combine this all together. So if I hit play now, I have those stairs. They're going to look right. They're going to work right. I can walk up and down, no problem. I can walk underneath, no problem. So now we have created this. And if we go, so we have this and this and this. These need to be added into our move to house 1 stuff. So now if we grab everything in here and there. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to unclick on the floor because I don't want this floor, because we have a floor for the second floor already. So I'm just control left clicking on these floor pieces. So after I get done doing that, I've got all my walls selected, all my floor pieces that I need selected, everything is good. I'm going to Control C, Control V, and then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to bring my house up. I have a really, really quick fix for the entryway doors. So we just want to line it up so that it's resting on top here. If we look at our stairwell, we walk up there. Now we can turn around. We can go over here and go up to the top floor again. We can make this as many stories tall as we want. Or we can go ahead and also save the bottom floor and save the top floor separately. So what I'm going to do is what I should have done beforehand, and that's create a new folder. So I need to go back and Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. There we go. Unfortunately, before doing all of this, proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Let's create a new folder, and second floor. So now let's do this all over again. Select everything. And uncheck our floors. Yeah. Damn it to hell and back. Alright, select them all. Control left click on the first floor pieces so that we don't have them selected. Just because we don't need them. So again, now Control C, Control V, and now pick this stuff up. And now you can line it up, because while we have everything selected, now, here we go. We can right click and move to second floor. So now, if we minimize everything, we still have all of our stuff for the first floor, and now we have all the stuff for the second floor separately. So what about the doors for up here? I'm going to select this, and I'm going to go back to my architecture. I'm going to select 400 by 400 wall. I'm going to click this arrow, and it's going to turn it into that wall. I'm going to click this window frame, and I'm going to go to my props on that door frame, and I'm going to select window frame, and boop, there we go. And it looks like we've doubled up everything. Just going to look at something here. because that's showing fine. See how it's got that cross-hatched pattern there? Is, to me, it looks as though it's doubled up. And just to test, I'm going to grab one of these wall sections, drag it out of the way, and yeah, we have doubled up everything. So let's actually go ahead and yeah, I don't know how that happened. We doubled up everything. Wow. Shit happens. But that's what happens whenever you're not careful. So let's make sure that I had to do Control Z about 412 times just to get everything back to here. Let's go ahead and make our folder again. See, second floor. So folder is created. Grab our house stuff, and yeah, I thought everything was doubled up. I could see by the way everything was a weird color, is it was all doubled up. Now Control left click. I don't know how that happened. I just Control C and Control V too many times. Alright, let's see if we can do this again correctly this time. Control C, Control V. And now when we move it up, it's good. Get our height right. Now we can right click on this, move to second floor. Now we're good. So now what I was saying here before is I can click on this and I can go to my architecture, and since I can do two of them at a time, I'm going to Control click on that guy. I'm going to select on my 400 by 400 wall, click here, and that's going to replace that. And I'm going to select my door here and Control left click a door here. Go back to my props, select the window frame, click here, and convert it into a window frame. Actually, I convert it into a wall. So let's do that one again and that one again. Let's go back and convert it into a window since I'm being a dum-dum. Now I can select my window frames and other window frame. And now all I need to do is line up this way, and I know that it'll be good on both sides. Why is it wrong? You know what? Worst case scenario, we can do... Oh, it's because we had these two. The door, we just switched it out, but we didn't change. We just have to change the scale back. 1. Now we're good. So if we hit play, we can come in here. We've just created a 2-story house. Go up the stairs, come over here, go up the stairs. We're now on the roof. If we want to not have a roof access, which, you know, it's up to you, then all you'd have to do is just take this panel that we created, this panel that we created, this set of stairs, and delete that, and it would then become where all you need to do is copy this, drag it over, and you could close that off. But instead of doing that, I will leave these intact because I want to make this as a modular multi-floor building system. So if I want to make this 10 stories tall, all I have to do now is go to my House 1 stuff and select everything. With all of them selected of just the House 1 stuff, now I'm going to go ahead and right click, convert actors to static mesh, go to my assets, mesh folder, call this house underscore first floor, and save that. Then I can close that folder, go to my second floor stuff, grab all this stuff. Now I can right click on that, convert to static mesh, assets, mesh folder, and I'm going to call this one, let's cancel because I can't remember. I got CRS, can't remember shit. House first floor, so we'll call this our assets mesh house underscore mid underscore floor. And now we can do the same thing here, but let's go ahead and grab this guy, grab our stairs, grab this piece, delete it, grab this, Control C, Control V, close up that hole, and grab this and this, and right click, convert assets mesh house underscore top underscore floor. So now I have all of those, and I know I need to go in here and do the other things that we did before. Let's scroll down, and we want to do 64, tab 4 times, and it's already set to 2. And let's be terrible people and use complex as simple. Save, close. Same thing here. Scroll down to our general settings. '64, tab, 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 tab. It's already set on 2, so that's good. Be bad. Use complex as simple. Save. And finally, house top floor, same thing. Lots and lots of pieces parts there. Lots of pieces parts. 64, and then it's already good. So we just do this and save, and okay, so save all. Let's go to our level 1. Now we can actually pop out some of these buildings, and let's grab this guy, and I don't want to use house 1, but I don't want to mess up my location, so I'm going to go back to my meshes. I'm going to do house first floor, and I'm going to click there, and it just changed the mesh for me. And then to cheat a little bit, Control C and Control V, and just go straight up. And house mid floor, change it here, and just line it up again because it might have been a little bit offset when we created it. just a little bit here. So if it's not wanting to cooperate and it's off by just a smidge, you can say screw it and let it be fine, or you can actually just uncheck snapping and get it right. So if we hit play and take a look really quickly, come back over here, we can see our new 2-story house. Come over here, come inside, and that's not right. Let's click that. And one thing we did not do. It's house mid-floor. It says house first floor. Oh, I see, said the blind man, as he picked up his hammer and began to nail. That's why it wasn't right. That's what I get for trying to be cheaty and not start from scratch. I knew that damn thing was there. And I knew it was weird that now if we grab these coordinates, it's negative 1060, we can actually right click, copy, select this guy, and paste. You can see they're not perfectly lined up, but let's get our elevation right, and then we'll get our other coordinates right. So we can just start popping our buildings together, and there we go. Well, that's because my rotation was wrong again. Alright, so yeah, you get the point of what we're trying to do here, is how we can use these cookie cutter pieces to make quick template houses for prototyping a city, a combat map, whatever else. You can use this for, I mean, the rapid prototyping deal. If you want to do something for a production level, then I would for sure say make your collisions in Blender, because doing the use complex is going to be okay for limited use, but if you end up with a bunch of them doing the same thing, it's just adding more stuff that your computer has to draw. So there, we're good to go on this. House is the way it's supposed to be. I can come over to this 2-story now, and if you want to leave them together and piece it together that way, but this allows you to add some flexibility. I want this building to be 3 stories, but I want the one across the street to be 10 stories, and I want the one over there to be 1 story. And it gives you some flexibility on setting up your houses. So now I can come back in here and grab my top floor and drag it on top, since I've got a mid floor on there. Just need to make sure that our opening is in the right location, and then begin lining up our house. And that's how we can rapid prototype a city, a single building, single neighborhood, whatever. So now I've just created, in an hour's time for this video, the ability to make a single floor house, a 2-story house, 30-story house, whatever we want. And we have our stairwell. We could have add other walls in, separations, It's like we did here where there's a wall section versus a window. We could have left it open here. We could have moved this door over there. We could have done a lot of things to set up the house a little bit differently. And we can still go back into our construction map and make changes because, you know, I don't like this coming up to the stairs and running flat into a wall. I'd want the stairs to come up and the door to be here. And, you know, same thing for right there because now it looks kind of dorky. But that gives us the opportunity to do all kind of different stuff here and check what we got. Go back into construction, make your tweaks. That's why it's nice having the construction. So really and truly all I'm going to do is just take and honestly I can go back to architecture, select this here, select my 400 by 400 door, replace it, grab this door frame, and you see it's not going to put it in the right location. So then, you know, we could either make our stairs bigger or we can just delete this wall completely. We could have cut these stairs in half and made 2 section stairs. We could do whatever we want, you know. I'm actually going to leave it the way it is for now. Because, like I said, this was just rapid prototyping, seeing what's what, making prototyped stuff for your map. Like I said, if you really want to do this better, yes, if you're doing a production level map, go into Blender and make correct models with correct collisions and everything else. But for rapid prototyping a city, getting a feel for the layout, things like that, this is going to be more than good enough. Take your time, build your houses the way you want them, get them just right. But I think this will be good for exactly what it is, just getting the point across. If you want to make this into an actual shooter game and, you know, spend it, the more time you spend making stuff, the better your output's going to come. I might have to go back and rebuild these houses 10 times to get the first floor layout the way I want it, and then the second floor layout, and then the top floor layout. And then once I've got all the 3 pieces parts right there for this system, then I might change the entire layout again and make a second and a third and a fourth. The more variation you have, sometimes the better. But, you know, sometimes having cookie cutter is not bad either. But once you go through the same basic process for creating your basic structure, converting them to a single static mesh, so now you have the ability to, again, as you're laying out your test level for what you want, you can actually come in here. We use the BSPs to create a template to size, get our width from the buildings perfect for our streets, things like that. Now all we have to do is we want a first floor building, no problem, we can drag one in. If we want the house first floor, mid floor, and you of course take the time to line them up, and then just Control C, Control V, and then just keep stacking them. Or instead of copy and paste, you can just grab another mid, throw it on, another mid, throw it on. And if this was in the right location where you wanted it, typically you should be able to do this, 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 and paste, and then just raise them up as you need to. If you built your first floor correct and you saved it all correct, then you can sit here and just copy and paste and switch and swap and everything else and just drop them in the way you need to go. So these are going to work correctly, but we notice that this is not going to work correctly because of the stairs not being in the correct location, or something is just a little bit off on these two here. So let's grab that. But once you've got your mid-floor, the first mid-floor in, you can almost just copy and paste. Do what you got to do. So I can grab this, Control C, Control V, and now I can do 2 floors at a time. Do that 4 floors at a time, 5 floors at a time, whatever. So you can make your skyscrapers quick and easy because your mid-floor sections are copy and paste. And see, we have no back door. Because what do? We copied and pasted again. We got another upper floor there. And we could actually make that a top floor if we wanted to. But I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to drop this on here, line it up, and we're going to run in here, play with our skyscraper. Alright, you guys get the point. We've already gone past the 1 hour mark. But there's our instant skyscraper. Can walk in here, and we didn't get the height of the floor right, so we need to raise him up just a hair. Like I said, I would go back in there and raise the pivot point, and that will fix that problem so that you can actually get it right. Like I said, I would change the interior layout of the floors so when you get at the top of the stairs, you're not running directly into a wall. But that's why I say trial and error, test fit. That's what your test map is for. But if you're trying to make something like that, this is good enough for rapid prototyping, building your city out. And hell, if you just want to build a quick, dirty, fast game, that's how you can build your city quickly. So I'll just grab this guy, this one, this one, this one, and just raise the ass up just a wee bit. You just need to come up 5. Alright. If there are no questions, we will roll on. So there we go. If you guys want to see more of, doing the same kind of stuff, I can actually come back in here and I will fix the interiors of these buildings. So I'll probably end up just deleting the whole damn thing and starting from scratch again. But, take my time, build a couple cookie cutter houses, the first, second, and top floors, things like that. And then keep continuing this as a series and as a game, perhaps. You guys got to let me know in Discord and let me know what you want to see on this. What other videos in this series you might want, and what have you. So, yeah. And even just for my OCD, I'm just probably going to end up doing... let's see, what was that guy? That guy, I have no idea. That was my measurement tools, because I didn't rename them. Grab all of my buildings. And do that. Alright. Get out of here, and you guys let me know in Discord what you want to see on this series, and if you want me to continue on with it. I know my OCD. I'm going to go back in here and rip that house apart and rebuild it, and yeah, we'll go from there. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.